Today you're going to learn 4 more of the cane family letters. Let's take a look at the first one, the capital letter Y. It begins at the headline with a vertical loop, curves forward and slants, then an undercurve that touches the baseline, comes up to halfway between the midline and the headline, slants to the descender, then a loop over, closing at the baseline and finishing at the midline. Let's look at it again. Vertical loop, slant, undercurve, slant, and overcurve for the finish. Now watch as I make the capital letter Y on the board. Beginning with the cane stroke, come down to the baseline, then an undercurve at the baseline, come up halfway between the midline and the headline, then slant to the descender, and loop, closing at the baseline, continuing up to the midline for the finish. Hold your pencil in the air, and I would like for you to make the capital letter Y as I trace this. Ready? Begin. Vertical loop, curve forward, slant, undercurve, slant, overcurve. Check your writing position. Make sure you're sitting correctly and holding your paper and pencil correctly. Put your pencil at the headline, and let's write the capital letter Y. Ready? Begin. Vertical loop, curve forward, slant, undercurve. Now retrace as you slant to the descender, then an overcurve for the loop, close it at the baseline, continue up to the midline for the finish. We can do the capital letter Y to the count of 4. Watch as I do that. The first part, the cane stroke, is number 1. Then the undercurve and continuing up is 2. The slant is 3. And the overcurve is 4. Put your pencil at the headline and I will count for you. Ready? Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check to see that you started at the headline, that your undercurve is at the baseline, that you came up halfway between the midline and the headline, and then retraced as you came down to the descender, and then an overcurve for the finish. We can use the letter Y in the word yes. Watch as I do that. First, the capital letter Y. And this wouldn't necessarily have to be capitalized all the time. It would be depending upon how you're using the word. And watch as I connect it now. Over, then under for the letter E, and then an undercurve, retrace, curve back around and tie for the S, and then an undercurve up to the midline for the finish. I would like for you to put your pencil at the headline and let's write the word yes. Ready? First, the capital letter Y. Begin. Vertical loop, curve forward, slant, undercurve, retrace, come down to the descender, now overcurve, close the loop to the baseline, now undercurve up for the E, loop, slant, now the S, undercurve, retrace, curve back around and tie, and undercurve to the midline for the finish. I'd like for you to check your word as it appears again. First, the capital letter Y, and watch the connection here, the undercurve up for the E, the S, and the finish. Yes. Now let's look at the capital letter V. It begins at the headline with a vertical loop, curves forward and slants to the baseline, and undercurve at the baseline. Then it comes up to about halfway between the midline and the headline and curves to the right a little bit. Let's look at it again. Vertical loop, slant, undercurve, finish. Now watch me make the capital letter V. Beginning at the headline with a vertical loop, curves forward and slants, then an undercurve and a curve out for the finish. Hold your pencil in the air and let's write the capital letter V as I trace this one. Ready? Begin. Vertical loop, curve forward, slant, undercurve, and curve out for the finish. Put your pencil at the headline, and I'd like for you to make this letter on your paper. Ready? Begin. Vertical loop, curve forward, slant, undercurve, and then curve out. We can make the capital letter V to the count of 2. Watch as I do that. The cane stroke is number 1, then the undercurve, and the finish is 2. Put your pencil at the headline, and I will count for you as you make your second V. Ready? Begin. 1, 2. Check yours to see that you closed your loop, that you came down to the baseline, and that your undercurve touches the baseline, then back up with a little curve out for the finish. Watch now as this letter is used in the state of Virginia. First, the capital letter V. Notice it is not connected with the rest of the word. And you do not ever connect this letter with any of the words that would begin with the capital V, and dot the I's. Virginia. The next letter that you're going to learn is the capital letter Q. Let's look at this one. It begins at the headline with a vertical loop, curves forward and slants to the baseline, then a loop at the baseline, then a little overcurve and an undercurve for the finish, stopping at the baseline. Vertical loop, then loop, and over, under for the finish. Watch as I write the letter Q on my paper. Beginning at the headline with a vertical loop, curve forward, slant, loop, then over, under, and stopping at the baseline. Hold your pencil in the air and make the capital letter Q as I trace this one. Ready? Begin. Vertical loop, curve forward, slant, loop, now over, under, and finish. Put your pencil at the headline and let's write the capital Q. Ready? Begin. Vertical loop, curve forward, slant, loop, over, now under, and come up to the baseline for the finish. We can make the capital letter Q to the count of 2. Watch as I do that. The cane stroke is number 1, and then as we make our loop and the finish, that is number 2. Put your pencil at the headline, and I will count for you as you make your second Q. Ready? Begin. 1, 2. Check yours. Look at mine. Check to see that you closed your loop, that you have a loop that is sitting on the baseline, then an over and an undercurve that is below the baseline and coming right up to the baseline for the finish. Now watch as this letter is used in the word quiz. The capital letter Q is not connected with the rest of the letters in the word. The letter U, then the letter I, the letter Z, finish, and dot the I, quiz. Now watch as we look at the letter Z. It begins at the headline with a vertical loop, curves forward and slants to the baseline. Then we loop at the baseline, pull down to the descender, and loop and come up and close it at the baseline and finish at the midline with an overcurve. Vertical loop, then loop again and again, and an overcurve for the finish. Watch as I make this letter on my paper. Beginning with the cane stroke, vertical loop, curve forward, slant, now another loop, then a slant to the descender, a little bit bigger loop, close at the baseline, and continue up to the midline for the finish. Hold your pencil in the air and trace this capital letter Z with me. Ready? Begin. Vertical loop, curve forward, slant. Loop, slant, and then loop again, close at the baseline, and finish to the midline with an overcurve. Put your pencil at the headline, and I'd like for you to write the capital letter Z on your paper. Ready? Begin. Vertical loop, curve forward, slant. Loop. Now come down to the descender with a little bit larger loop. Come up and close it at the baseline. Continue up to the midline for the finish. We can do the capital letter Z to the count of 3. Watch me do that. The cane stroke is number 1. Then the loop, and coming down to the descender is 2. Then the overcurve, coming up to the midline, is 3. Put your pencil at the headline, and I will count for you. Ready? Begin. 1, 2, 3. We can use the capital letter Z to write the word zebra. Watch as I do that. Beginning with the Z, and now watch as the connection. Over, now under, coming up for the E, then the letter B, which is as tall as the capital Z, then the R, and look at how I'm connecting the B and the R, then the letter A, and the undercurve for the finish. I would like for you to try this word now on your paper, and put your pencil at the headline, and we will begin with the capital letter Z. Ready? Begin. Vertical loop, curve forward, slant. Loop, come down to the descender. Now an overcurve, close at the baseline. Now an undercurve coming up for the E. Loop, slant, now the B. Undercurve, loop, slant. Now come up a little bit closer, a little undercurve, retrace. Now the R, undercurve, retrace, slide, slant. Now the A, under, over, curve back and down, come up and close, slant, and an undercurve for the finish. Check your word zebra as it appears again. First the capital letter Z, and observe the connection between that letter and the E. Then the B that is as tall as the Z, the R, and the letter A, and the finish, zebra. Connect the Y and the Z with the rest of the letters in the word, but not the Q or the V.